The Galactic Generals Challenge. In the vast expanse of the galaxy, a brutal war raged on. Alien forces, united under a single banner, had set their sights on the final frontier of human space. The galaxy was a swirling cauldron of conflict, and amidst it all, one figure stood out, the feared Galactic General Zorath. General Zorath was a towering figure in both stature and reputation. His armor, black and gleaming, was adorned with countless battle scars and insignias of his many victories. His eyes, cold and calculating, had seen countless worlds fall before him. The galaxy had heard tales of his prowess in battle, his unyielding will, and his disdain for any who dared to challenge him. This time, his target was a small, seemingly insignificant human outpost. Zorath had been informed that the humans had gathered their forces here, hoping to make a last stand against the encroaching alien empire. The general saw this as an opportunity to crush human resistance once and for all. Zorath's plan was methodical and ruthless. He had assembled an armada of 10,000 ships, sleek, powerful vessels bristling with weapons and technology far beyond anything the humans had ever encountered. Each ship was a marvel of alien engineering, capable of unleashing devastation on a grand scale. The general's confidence was unwavering. In his eyes, this was a simple task, one more step towards total galactic dominance. On the other side, in the heart of the human outpost, a lone ship floated silently among the stars. It was called the Eclipse, a sleek and formidable vessel of human design. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like just another ship among the stars. But to those who knew, the Eclipse was a symbol of human ingenuity and defiance. Its hull was reinforced with advanced alloys, its weapons systems state-of-the-art, and its crew highly trained and resolute. Captain Sarah Lawson, the leader of the Eclipse, was a seasoned veteran of many battles. Her reputation among the human forces was one of fierce determination and strategic brilliance. She had been briefed on the alien threat, but nothing could prepare her for the scale of the assault that was about to come. As Zorath's armada approached the human outpost, the space around it seemed to warp and shimmer with the sheer size of the alien forces. The general's ships formed a vast, imposing fleet, their engines glowing with the energy of impending destruction. The outpost, though well fortified, looked small and vulnerable against the backdrop of the alien invasion. Zorath was confident that his forces would obliterate the human outpost without breaking a sweat. He had underestimated the resolve of humanity, something that was about to become clear. The general ordered his ships to advance, their weapons primed and ready for the assault. The alien fleet began to move with precision, their formation designed to maximize their firepower and overwhelm any defense. As the first waves of alien ships engaged the outpost's defenses, the sky erupted with blinding flashes of energy. The human outpost's defenses were holding, but just barely. Captain Lawson's voice crackled over the comms, calm and commanding as she directed her crew to brace for the worst. The Eclipse, though outnumbered, was not merely a passive observer. The human ship's advanced sensors detected the alien fleet's movements and coordinated the defense with precision. The crew worked with a unity born of necessity, each member performing their role with skill and focus. Zorath, observing the battle from his flagship, was momentarily puzzled. The human defense was more resilient than he had anticipated. He watched as the Eclipse darted among the alien ships, its weapons discharging with deadly accuracy. The general's initial confidence began to waver. This human ship was not the easy target he had expected. As the hours passed, the battle raged on. The outpost's defenses, though heavily battered, continued to resist. Zorath grew increasingly frustrated. He had expected a swift victory, but the humans were putting up a fight. The general's frustration turned to anger as he watched his forces struggle against the unexpected tenacity of the Eclipse. In a strategic command room aboard the Eclipse, Captain Lawson and her officers monitored the situation. They could see the tide of battle turning against them, but Lawson remained resolute. She knew that if they were to survive, they would need to adapt quickly and use every advantage they had. Zorath's frustration grew. His impressive fleet was being challenged by a single human ship, something he had not anticipated. The battle was proving to be more complex and difficult than he had planned. The general, known for his ability to remain calm under pressure, now found himself grappling with an unforeseen challenge. As the battle continued, it became clear that the human ship was not just a random vessel. It was a formidable opponent, one that Zorath had underestimated. The general's initial confidence was slowly being replaced by a growing sense of unease. The clash between the alien fleet and the human ship was far from over, and the outcome was still uncertain. In the vastness of space, where empires clashed and stars burned, a single human ship had managed to challenge the might of an alien armada. General Zorath's arrogance was meeting its match, and the stage was set for a battle that would test the limits of both sides. The conflict was far from over, and the galaxy held its breath as the showdown between the Galactic general and the human ship continued to unfold. The human ship. As the battle raged around the human outpost, the Eclipse glided through the chaos, a beacon of hope amidst the darkness of war. This sleek and powerful vessel was not just another ship. It was a marvel of human engineering and a symbol of their unyielding spirit. The Eclipse was designed for versatility and resilience. Its hull was coated with advanced alloys that could absorb and deflect much of the energy from enemy fire. Its weapon systems were state-of-the-art, featuring pulse lasers, plasma cannons, and a missile array that could strike with pinpoint accuracy. Despite its size, the Eclipse was incredibly agile, capable of swift maneuvers that made it a difficult target for the enemy. Inside the ship, the crew worked with an intensity born of necessity. Captain Sarah Lawson, the heart and soul of the Eclipse, stood at the command console, her gaze fixed on the holographic displays that showed the unfolding battle. Her face was set in a determined expression, her eyes sharp and focused. She was a seasoned leader, known for her strategic brilliance and unbreakable resolve. Status report. Lawson's voice rang out, cutting through the din of the control room. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Alex Grant, quickly updated her. Captain, the outpost's shields are holding, but barely. We've taken heavy damage, but we're still operational. The alien forces are overwhelming, but we're managing to inflict significant damage in return. Lawson nodded, her mind racing through possible strategies. The Eclipse had been designed for situations just like this, against overwhelming odds with limited resources. It was not just a ship, it was a testament to human ingenuity and their refusal to back down. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, Lawson ordered. We need to disrupt their formations and buy the outpost more time. Target their lead ships and try to take out their command vessels. The crew moved swiftly, their hands dancing over controls and screens. The ship's engines roared to life as it executed sharp turns and rapid accelerations, weaving through the chaos of battle. The Eclipse's weapon systems activated, and a series of bright, powerful beams cut through the alien ships, causing explosions and chaos in their ranks. The alien fleet, initially confident in their superiority, was now facing unexpected resistance. The human ship's precision strikes and evasive maneuvers were having an impact. Alien vessels were being taken out one by one, and their previously coordinated attacks began to falter. Zorath's initial assurance was beginning to crack as he observed the unexpected effectiveness of the Eclipse. Inside the Eclipse, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Crew members shouted orders and relayed information, each person fully aware of the stakes. The ship's engineers worked tirelessly to repair damage and keep critical systems online. The pilots executed maneuvers with skill, avoiding enemy fire and positioning the ship for maximum effectiveness. In the midst of the battle, Captain Lawson took a moment to glance at her crew. Their faces were set in determination, their eyes reflecting the gravity of their task. She knew that their success depended not just on the ship's capabilities, but on the strength and unity of her team. Keep pushing. Lawson encouraged her crew. We're making a difference out there. We need to hold on just a little longer. As the Eclipse continued its assault, the tide of the battle began to shift. The alien forces, though numerous and powerful, were struggling to adapt to the relentless pressure from the human ship. The Eclipse's tactics were proving effective, and the general's confidence was being challenged. Lieutenant Grant, monitoring the tactical display, looked up with a hint of optimism. "Captain, we're seeing significant disruption in their formation. It looks like we're starting to turn the tide." Lawson allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Let's keep the pressure on. We need to make sure they know that underestimating humanity was a grave mistake." As the battle wore on, the Eclipse continued to prove its worth. The human ship's advanced systems and skilled crew were holding their ground, inflicting damage on the alien fleet and giving the outpost a fighting chance. Each successful maneuver and precise strike built the crew's confidence and further eroded the alien force's dominance. In the command room, Lawson's eyes remained fixed on the battle display. The outpost's shields were holding, but the fight was far from over. The general's forces were still formidable, and the battle was far from won. Yet the human ship had shown that it was not to be underestimated. As the day wore on, the Eclipse's crew remained vigilant. The ship's weapons continued to fire, its engines roared with power, and its crew worked with unwavering dedication. The battle was far from over, but the human ship had proven itself a formidable adversary, demonstrating that humanity was capable of remarkable feats even in the face of overwhelming odds. In the cold expanse of space, where stars glimmered and ships clashed, the Eclipse continued to fight on. It was a testament to the spirit of humanity, a symbol of their resilience and strength. The battle was far from over, but the human ship had made its mark, and the galaxy was watching as the conflict unfolded. The assault begins. The vastness of space was lit up with the fiery exchanges of battle. The once quiet human outpost was now a hive of activity, the air crackling with the tension of impending doom. In the command room of the Eclipse, Captain Sarah Lawson watched the tactical displays with unwavering focus. Her ship, though fierce and determined, was still up against an overwhelming enemy. The alien fleet, a seemingly endless wave of ships, moved with deadly precision. General Zoreth had unleashed his forces, confident that the sheer number of vessels would be enough to overwhelm any defense. His ships were a sight to behold, sleek, heavily armed, and seemingly invincible. The aliens had launched a full-scale assault, their weapons firing in rapid bursts, creating a storm of energy that pelted the human outpost. The Eclipse, despite its advanced technology, was now in the eye of the storm. Captain Lawson's orders came quick and clear. Divert power to forward shields. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. We need to stay mobile to avoid getting hit too hard. The crew sprang into action. The ship's powerful shields flared to life, creating a protective barrier against the relentless barrage. The Eclipse swerved and twisted through the debris of battle, its engines humming with energy as it executed sharp turns and rapid accelerations. Outside, the alien fleet began to close in. Their ships formed a tight formation, their weapons primed for the next wave of assault. It was clear that General Zoreth was intent on breaking through the human defenses. The alien forces fired in unison, a coordinated barrage of energy blasts and missiles aimed directly at the outpost. In the midst of this chaos, the Eclipse's gunners worked tirelessly. The ship's laser cannons and plasma weapons flared with deadly accuracy. Each shot was carefully aimed to maximize damage, targeting the weaker spots in the alien ship's defenses. The crew's quick reflexes and precise coordination allowed them to make the most of every opportunity. Lieutenant Alex Grant, stationed at the weapons control console, focused on the tactical display. "Captain, we're taking hits, but we're also making a dent in their formation. We've managed to take out several enemy ships, but their numbers are overwhelming." Lawson's eyes narrowed as she reviewed the data. "Good. Keep up the pressure. We need to disrupt their formation and prevent them from overwhelming the outpost." As the alien ships closed in, the human outpost's defenses strained under the assault. The outpost's shield generators worked overtime, their energy flickering as they absorbed the brunt of the alien fire. The outpost's own weapon systems retaliated, launching missiles and energy beams at the approaching alien fleet. The alien forces, sensing victory within their grasp, pressed their advantage. Their ships moved with deadly precision, and their attacks became more focused. The general's strategy was clear: overwhelm the defenses and force a breach. He watched with satisfaction as his forces continued their relentless assault. On board the Eclipse, Captain Lawson knew that time was running out. The outpost's defenses were holding, but barely. The human ship had to do more than just defend. It had to strike back and create openings in the alien fleet's formation. Deploy countermeasures. Lawson ordered. We need to disrupt their targeting systems and create some breathing room for the outpost. The ship's countermeasure systems activated, launching flares and jamming signals to confuse the enemy. The Eclipse's defensive systems flared with energy, creating a dazzling display of light and sound. Alien ships began to falter, their weapons firing erratically as they struggled to lock onto their targets. In the confusion, the Eclipse launched a series of counterattacks. Missiles streaked through space, their warheads finding their marks with deadly accuracy. The human ship's plasma cannons roared to life, cutting through the ranks of alien vessels and causing explosions that rippled through their formation. Despite the chaos, General Zoreth remained calm. He had anticipated that the humans would fight back fiercely, but he was confident in the strength of his forces. He issued new orders, directing his fleet to focus on breaking the outpost's defenses while maintaining their assault on the Eclipse. The battle continued to rage, a violent clash of technology and willpower. The Eclipse, despite its advanced capabilities, was fighting an uphill battle. Each victory was hard-earned, and the alien forces were relentless. Yet the human ship's crew refused to back down. They fought with a determination that matched their enemy's ferocity. Lieutenant Grant kept a close eye on the ship's systems. "Captain, we've got more enemy ships coming in. Their reinforcements are arriving. We need to hold them off as long as possible." Lawson's mind raced. She knew that the battle was far from over, and the stakes were high. The outpost's defenses were faltering, and the Eclipse's resources were being stretched thin. Yet she also knew that giving up was not an option. "Stay focused," Lawson commanded. "We need to keep the pressure on them and find a way to turn this around. If we can disrupt their command structure, we might be able to create an opportunity." The crew of the Eclipse continued their efforts, their resolve unshaken. The battle was intense, with each moment bringing new challenges and dangers. The human ship fought on, its weapons blazing and its crew working tirelessly. In the cold void of space, the clash between the human ship and the alien fleet continued. The battle was a testament to the resilience and bravery of the human spirit. As the conflict unfolded, both sides remained locked in a struggle for survival, with the outcome hanging in the balance. The general's reaction. General Zoreth stared out from the command center of his flagship, his eyes narrowed in concentration as he observed the unfolding battle. The vast screen in front of him displayed the chaotic scene of war. His fleet, a menacing wave of alien ships, was engaged in a fierce struggle with the lone human vessel, the Eclipse. Zoreth was a being of calculated precision and unyielding confidence. His reputation as a ruthless and strategic leader was well earned. Yet, as he watched the relentless assault on the human outpost and the unexpected resilience of the Eclipse, a flicker of unease crept into his otherwise unshakable demeanor. The alien fleet had launched a full-scale offensive. Ships from all directions converged on the human outpost, their weapons firing in rapid bursts. The sheer scale of the attack was overwhelming, designed to crush any resistance with raw firepower. Zoreth had anticipated a swift victory, his forces outnumbering and outgunning the defenders by a significant margin. However, the human ship, despite its smaller size and limited resources, was proving to be an unexpected thorn in the general's side. The Eclipse darted through the chaos, its weapon systems delivering precise, devastating strikes against the alien fleet. Zoreth's ships, despite their advanced technology, struggled to keep up with the agility and tactical acumen of the human vessel. "General, we're encountering significant resistance," one of Zoreth's officers reported, a hint of frustration in their voice. "The human ship is causing substantial damage to our forces. Their tactics are unexpectedly effective." Zoreth's eyes flashed with a mixture of anger and surprise. He had not anticipated such a fierce defense from what he had considered a minor opponent. The human ship's ability to inflict damage, coupled with its evasive maneuvers, was disrupting the orderly assault he had planned. "What is the status of the eclipse?" Zoreth demanded, his voice a low growl. He had expected the human ship to be an easy target, a mere inconvenience in his path to total dominance. The reality was proving to be far different. "The eclipse continues to evade our attacks with skill," the officer replied. "It has taken out several of our ships and is causing significant damage to our formation. Their defensive systems are holding, and their counterattacks are disrupting our targeting systems." Zoreth's frustration grew. He was not accustomed to being outmaneuvered, especially by what he considered a lesser opponent. His mind raced through possible solutions. He needed to regain control of the situation and assert his dominance over the humans. "Reallocate resources to deal with the eclipse," Zoreth ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Focus fire on that ship. We cannot afford to be held up by a single vessel." The alien fleet responded to Zoreth's orders with precision. Ships that had been attacking the outpost were redirected to concentrate their firepower on the eclipse. A new wave of energy blasts and missiles surged towards the human ship, the sheer volume of fire aimed at overwhelming its defenses. In the eclipse's command room, Captain Lawson was acutely aware of the change in the enemy's strategy. The intensity of the alien assault had increased, and the ship's systems were straining under the new pressure. Lawson's eyes flicked across the tactical displays as she issued orders to her crew. "Divert power to shields and increase defensive maneuvers," Lawson commanded. "We need to hold off this new wave of attacks and keep the pressure on their fleet." The Eclipse's shields flared brightly as they absorbed the barrage of energy blasts. The ship's engines roared as it executed rapid, sharp turns, trying to evade the concentrated fire. Despite their best efforts, the ship's hull took hits, and alarms blared as damage reports came in. "Captain, we've sustained hull damage in multiple areas," Lieutenant Grant reported. "The shields are holding, but we're running low on power. We need to make our counterattacks count." Lawson's face was set in determination. "We'll hold as long as we can. Our goal is to keep disrupting their formation and buy more time for the outpost. We need to be strategic with our remaining resources." Back on Zoreth's flagship, the general's mood was darkening. The human ship's resistance had become a major obstacle, and his initial confidence was being tested. Zoreth was a master of war, but he was not used to having his plans so thoroughly disrupted. "Report on the status of the outpost," Zoreth demanded, seeking any sign that his assault was achieving its intended effect. "The outpost's defenses are still holding," came the reply. "However, we are making progress. The human ship's interference is significant, but we are still managing to weaken the outpost's defenses." Zoreth's frustration was palpable. He had expected a swift victory, and instead, he found himself engaged in a prolonged and challenging battle. The human ship had proven to be a far more formidable adversary than anticipated. "This is unacceptable," Zoreth said, his voice icy. "We will not be delayed by a single ship. Increase the intensity of the assault. We will crush the outpost and deal with the eclipse once we have achieved our objective." The alien fleet responded to Zoreth's directive with renewed fervor. The assault on the human outpost intensified, with weapons firing in coordinated waves designed to break through the defenses. At the same time, additional forces were deployed to target the eclipse, determined to neutralize the unexpected threat. In the cold void of space, the battle continued with unrelenting intensity. The human ship, despite its damage and dwindling resources, fought on with unwavering resolve. General Zoreth's confidence was being tested, and the outcome of the conflict hung in the balance. The clash between the formidable alien fleet and the resilient human ship had become a pivotal moment in the galaxy's ongoing struggle, and both sides were fully committed to their respective causes. Turning the tide. In the midst of the galactic chaos, the battle raged on with unrelenting fury. The Eclipse, battered and bruised, continued to defy expectations. Its hull was scared from the constant barrage of alien fire, and its energy levels were dwindling. Yet, despite the damage and exhaustion, the ship's crew remained resolute. Captain Sarah Lawson's unwavering leadership had become the cornerstone of their resistance. As the alien forces continued their intense assault, the human outpost's defenses were reaching their breaking point. The outpost's shields flickered dangerously, and its weapon systems were struggling to keep pace with the overwhelming alien fire. It seemed as though the tide of the battle was about to turn decisively in favor of General Zoreth. Inside the Eclipse, Lawson's eyes were locked onto the tactical display. The data showed a grim picture. The alien fleet was closing in on the outpost, and their concentrated assault was starting to cause significant breaches in the defenses. The Eclipse's counterattacks had become less frequent, and the ship's power reserves were critically low. "Captain, the outpost's shields are failing," Lieutenant Alex Grant reported, his voice strained with concern. "We need to make a decisive move, or we'll lose everything." Lawson's mind raced as she considered their options. The situation was dire, but she knew that giving up was not an option. She had to find a way to turn the tide of the battle and give her crew a fighting chance. "Prepare the secondary weapon systems," Lawson ordered. "We need to make a bold move. Target the enemy command ships and disrupt their coordination." The crew sprang into action, their hands flying over controls and consoles. The Eclipse's secondary weapon systems, though not as powerful as its primary armaments, were still capable of inflicting significant damage. The ship's gunners adjusted their targeting systems, focusing on the alien command vessels that were directing the assault. Outside, the alien fleet continued its relentless assault on the outpost. The alien ships were beginning to breach the outer defenses, their weapons carving through the shields and striking at the vulnerable sections of the outpost. General Zoreth's confidence was evident in his posture as he observed the progress from his command center. "General, we're making significant headway," one of Zoreth's officers reported. "The outpost's defenses are collapsing, and our forces are poised to secure victory." Zoreth's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. He was on the verge of achieving a major triumph, his fleet overcoming the once defiant human defenses. However, the general's confidence was about to be tested in ways he had not anticipated. Back on the Eclipse, Captain Lawson watched as the secondary weapon systems powered up. The ship's engines roared with renewed energy as it prepared for a decisive counterattack. Lawson's gaze was steely with determination as she issued the final orders. "Fire at will. Focus on the command ships and create as much chaos as possible." The Eclipse's secondary weapons unleashed a barrage of energy blasts and missiles. The projectiles streaked through space, targeting the alien command vessels with deadly precision. The alien fleet's coordination began to falter as their command ships were hit, their communication systems disrupted by the sudden onslaught. The impact of the Eclipse's counterattack was immediate. Alien ships, once moving in tight formation, began to break apart, their attacks becoming disorganized and erratic. The sudden chaos within the alien fleet created openings for the human outpost's defenses to recover. Inside the command center of the alien flagship, General Zoreth's expression changed from satisfaction to alarm. The unexpected assault on his command vessels had disrupted the fleet's operations, and his once confident control was slipping away. "What is happening?" Zoreth demanded, his voice rising with frustration. "Why is our coordination breaking down?" One of his officers looked up, their face reflecting the severity of the situation. "General, the human ship has targeted our command vessels. Their counterattacks have created chaos within our fleet. We're losing control." Zoreth's frustration was palpable. He had not anticipated such a shift in the battle. The human ship's actions were proving to be a significant turning point, and his carefully crafted plans were unraveling before his eyes. "Reallocate resources to restore command structure," Zorath ordered, his voice sharp with urgency. "We cannot afford to lose control now. Focus on eliminating the eclipse and regaining order." As Zorath's orders were relayed, the alien fleet began to redirect its efforts. Some ships attempted to reestablish coordination, while others continued their assault on the outpost. The eclipse, despite its own damage and dwindling resources, continued to press the attack. The battle outside the outpost took on a new dynamic. With the alien command structure in disarray, the human forces found renewed strength. The outpost's defenses, though still strained, began to recover. The combined efforts of the eclipse and the outpost's remaining forces created a more balanced conflict. Captain Lawson, observing the changes in the battle dynamics, felt a surge of cautious optimism. The human ship had succeeded in creating a significant disruption within the alien fleet, and the tide of the battle was beginning to shift. "Keep the pressure on," Lawson urged her crew. "We're turning the tide, but we need to stay focused. Every action counts." As the battle continued, the once overwhelming alien assault began to lose its edge. The Eclipse's daring counterattack had proven to be a game-changer, and the human forces were seizing the opportunity to fight back with renewed vigor. In the vast expanse of space, where the clash of ships and the roar of engines filled the void, the struggle for victory continued. The tide of battle had shifted, and both sides were locked in a high-stakes struggle for dominance. The outcome remained uncertain, but the resilience and ingenuity of the human forces had given them a fighting chance in the face of overwhelming odds. The final showdown. The battle in space had reached its peak. The vast expanse around the outpost and the eclipse was a swirl of flashing lights, explosions, and the crackle of energy weapons. The once fierce and coordinated alien assault was now a chaotic struggle as the alien fleet grappled with the sudden disruption caused by the human ship. Inside the eclipse, Captain Sarah Lawson's face was set with grim determination. The human ship, despite its severe damage and dwindling resources, was holding strong. The crew moved with focused urgency, working tirelessly to maintain their defenses and press their advantage. "Captain, we've detected a significant concentration of alien forces around their flagship," Lieutenant Alex Grant reported. "They're regrouping for a final push. If we don't act quickly, they might regain control." Lawson's eyes narrowed. The alien fleet was clearly attempting to consolidate its forces for a decisive strike. The Eclipse's continued resistance had forced the aliens into a defensive posture, but now they were preparing for a final, all-out assault. "Prepare for the final showdown," Lawson ordered. "We're going to make sure that we end this battle on our terms. Focus all fire on their flagship and key command ships." The crew of the Eclipse sprang into action, their faces marked by a mix of exhaustion and resolve. The ship's remaining power was rerouted to its most critical systems, and the weapons systems were brought online for one last push. Outside, General Zorath watched the unfolding situation with a mixture of frustration and grim determination. His once orderly fleet was now a fractured mess, but the presence of the Eclipse in the battle had reignited the fire in his strategy. "General, the human ship is preparing for a final assault," an officer reported. "They're concentrating their fire on our flagship and command ships. It's going to be a fierce engagement." Zorath's eyes narrowed as he considered his next move. The situation was dire, but he refused to be defeated by a single ship. His own command vessel was heavily shielded and armed, and he intended to use every advantage at his disposal. "Redirect all available firepower to protect the flagship," Zorath ordered. "We will not allow the humans to take us down. Maintain the pressure on the outpost and crush the human ship once and for all." The alien fleet began to regroup, their ships forming a protective barrier around Zorath's flagship. The combined firepower of the alien ships aimed to create a formidable defense, hoping to shield the flagship from the Eclipse's final assault. The Eclipse moved into position, its weapon systems fully charged and ready. The ship's crew worked in perfect synchronization, their movements a testament to their training and determination. Lawson stood at the command console, her eyes fixed on the tactical display as she prepared for the final engagement. "Target the flagship's weak points," Lawson instructed. "Aim for the command and control structures. We need to disrupt their command and create openings." The Eclipse unleashed a concentrated barrage of energy blasts and missiles. The projectiles streaked through space, striking the alien flagship with powerful impacts. The flagship's shields flared under the assault, struggling to absorb the overwhelming firepower. Inside the flagship, Zorath's command center was a flurry of activity. Officers shouted orders and reports, their faces reflecting the intensity of the battle. The flagship's shields were holding, but the constant barrage from the Eclipse was starting to take its toll. "General, the flagship is sustaining heavy damage," an officer reported. "Our shields are weakening, and we're experiencing system failures in several critical areas." Zorath's jaw tightened. He had underestimated the human resolve and the effectiveness of their counterattacks. His flagship was taking hits, and the disruption in command was affecting the coordination of his fleet. "Focus on repairing the shields and targeting the human ship," Zorath commanded. "We need to hold on until we can regain control of the situation." The alien fleet's ships intensified their fire, trying to counter the Eclipse's assault. The final showdown was a fierce exchange of firepower, with the Eclipse's concentrated attacks clashing against the alien flagship's defenses. The battle waged on, with the Eclipse's crew pushing themselves to the limit. Each shot fired was a desperate attempt to break through the alien defenses and ensure the survival of their mission. The outpost, despite its damage, continued to hold its ground, aided by the Eclipse's relentless pressure. As the battle reached its climax, the Eclipse scored a direct hit on the alien flagship's command center. The flagship's shields finally faltered, and the ship's internal systems were thrown into disarray. The command center was plunged into chaos, and the alien fleet's coordination began to collapse. General Zorath's frustration boiled over as he watched the once proud flagship suffer critical damage. His confidence was shattered, and the reality of the situation was becoming increasingly apparent. "This is not over," Zorath declared, though his voice was tinged with desperation. "We will fight to the last breath. Do not relent." Despite the general's defiant words, the battle was slipping away from the alien forces. The Eclipse's final push had proven decisive, and the alien flagship was now in critical condition. The human ship's relentless assault had achieved its goal, and the tide of the battle had turned in favor of the humans. In the cold void of space, amidst the wreckage of shattered ships and the fading echoes of battle, the outcome of the final showdown became clear. The Eclipse had defied the odds and dealt a decisive blow to the alien fleet, proving that even in the face of overwhelming odds, determination and resilience could turn the tide of war. Aftermath and legacy. The battle that had once raged so fiercely across the galactic void had now settled into an eerie calm. The remnants of the alien fleet drifted among the debris of shattered ships and broken technology. The outpost, though battered and scarred, still stood resolute. The Eclipse, having played a pivotal role in turning the tide of the battle, now floated amid the wreckage, its hull scared but intact. Captain Sarah Lawson and her crew were exhausted but elated. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. As the crew moved through the corridors of the Eclipse, the atmosphere was one of weary relief and quiet pride. They had accomplished something extraordinary, but there was still work to be done. "Status report," Lawson said as she approached the command console. The crew quickly relayed the details of the post-battle situation. The outpost had suffered significant damage, but was operational. The alien flagship, once a symbol of their enemy's might, was now a smoldering wreck. The alien forces that had managed to survive were retreating or surrendering. "Captain," Lieutenant Alex Grant reported, "we've managed to stabilize the ship's systems. The primary and secondary weapons are offline for repairs, but we're in no immediate danger. Lawson nodded, her expression one of determined relief. Good. Let's ensure that we have everything in order and then begin recovery operations. We need to assess the damage to the outpost and start coordinating with the Allied forces. As the crew set about their tasks, the Eclipse's sensors detected a signal coming from the alien flagship's wreckage. A team was dispatched to investigate. They discovered valuable information in the wreckage, detailed schematics and communication logs that would provide significant insights into the alien fleet's operations and intentions. Meanwhile, the crew of the outpost, though battered, had managed to hold their ground. The Allied forces that arrived to assist in the aftermath were astonished at the resilience of the outpost and the Eclipse's role in the victory. The news of the battle's outcome spread quickly, and the victory was celebrated across the galaxy. Back at the outpost's command center, General Zoreth's fate was a topic of concern. His flagship was destroyed, and his forces had been scattered. The remnants of his fleet were captured or fleeing, and his plans for conquest had been thwarted. The once mighty general was now a symbol of defeat. In the weeks that followed, the outpost and the Eclipse became symbols of hope and resilience. The human forces had not only defended their territory, but had also struck a decisive blow against a formidable enemy. The victory was seen as a testament to human courage and ingenuity. Captain Lawson was hailed as a hero. Her leadership and the bravery of her crew had played a crucial role in the victory. The outpost's defenders were also recognized for their unwavering determination and resilience. The battle was analyzed and studied, becoming a significant case in military strategy and tactics. The alien forces, now scattered and disorganized, were forced to retreat. The remnants of their fleet were either captured or driven back to their home territories. The galaxy breathed a sigh of relief as the immediate threat was neutralized, and the balance of power shifted. In the months that followed, the human forces began rebuilding and fortifying their defenses. The outpost was repaired and upgraded, and the lessons learned from the battle were integrated into future strategies. The Eclipse underwent extensive repairs, with its crew eager to return to active duty. The legacy of the battle was felt far beyond the immediate aftermath. It became a symbol of what humanity could achieve when faced with overwhelming odds. The story of the Eclipse and its crew was told and retold, becoming a source of inspiration for future generations. The bravery and determination displayed in the face of adversity were celebrated across the galaxy. Captain Lawson's leadership and the heroism of her crew were etched into the annals of history. Their actions had not only secured a victory, but had also set a precedent for future engagements. The battle had shown that even the most formidable foes could be overcome through courage, strategy, and perseverance. As the galaxy moved forward, the victory at the outpost became a beacon of hope. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the spirit of determination and the will to fight for what is right could turn the tide of any battle. The Eclipse and its crew, having faced the ultimate challenge and emerged victorious, left a lasting legacy that would inspire and guide future generations.